behind the scenes. At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. All right, welcome everybody to Dave Cooper Live, coming from the UK to all of you out there. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to talk about innovation in home building and how it is redefining how we think about quality, efficiency, and sustainability. Today's panel is tackling a big one, the future of just-in-time supply chains and how modern manufacturing. What's the matter? Tackling the big one, the future of just-in-time supply chain and how modern manufacturing is eliminating waste. Because right now, most people don't know this, the average waste in the UK and around the world is upwards of 35% during construction. And that's huge. That's 35% of your money in the dumpster. But it's not just about cutting waste. It's about building healthier, smarter, and more sustainable homes while integrating new technology and processes seamlessly into existing systems. And the best start, we now have a one-stop journey from financing all the way to handing over the keys to your new home. That's the new reality of modern construction. But before we get into any or all of this, can't do it without our supporting members. So here's a word from our sponsor. CombiLift is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, a leader in long load handling solutions, offering a free warehouse and site optimization design service. CombiLift helps companies of all sizes and from every industry maximize the capacity, safety, and efficiency of their warehouse and storage facilities. A big thank you to Paul Short and the team at CombiLift for helping us all to build it better. Visit them at combilift.com. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. All right, thank you to all our supporting members. We can't do any or all this without all of you out there. Today we are in the United Kingdom. That's right, folks. And we have the same problems here as we do in other parts of the world. Sitting with me today, I want to introduce everybody around the table if we can. We have Brian Murphy sitting next to me, sustainability expert, carbon expert, and healthy homes expert. And you do some of the largest projects and consult people around the world. We got Steve Baker, director of Homatix, right, with a very large political background and a history, and that truly cares about home building. We got our good friend over here, Roger Lewis, and one of the reasons we're here with Homatix, Roger's the brainchild about all of these things that we're doing when it comes to how do we finance homes, how do we give more money back to the consumer, how do we give them a better product and a faster product to move into, because we have a shortage in housing, and literally, seriously, just picked him up off the street. We have, I'm not lying. We got Matt Bagg, who is in product development his whole life, and he's done everything from modular housing through some of the biggest super bike manufacturing in the world, right?
Superbike was a brand, but motorcycle, electric bikes, yes, right. Manufacturing.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a roundtable discussion. It's going to be free form. It's going to be open. It's meant to have dialogue and have fun, but we have time limits, gentlemen, right? So keep your answers what they are. We're going to start off with the waste challenge. I mentioned it in my opening monologue. That 30 to 40% is a big number. Brian, what's your thoughts on how we're handling the waste in the construction industry?
We don't. It's always somebody else's expense, so we just chuck it in the skip. Some of the bigger companies had a go. We had some legislation for a while. They thought we got it sorted. They then dropped the legislation and we're back to worse figures than we were before. 78 million down and then back up to 120 million tons a year.
120 million tons a year.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds like the size of a planet to me.
Yeah, it's like Wembley Stadium a few times over a year.
Just on waste from new home construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely shocking, isn't it? I mean, we wouldn't tolerate this in any other field of human endeavor. And in the end, surely the customer's paying for it. Yeah. And it's a scandalous waste of materials. I think we'll look back one day and be amazed we ever built homes like this in the 21st century. It's really inexcusable.
It is inexcusable. Every other industry would burn up and close if they had that much waste in their production and building. Yeah. Roger.
As a developer, I've seen pallets of bricks in holes on building sites on my dime. Or on my dollar, and it never pleases me.
No.
So, yeah, I'm all for getting a grip on the waste.
Well, and it was your passion that started bringing all this technology together, really looking at the industry. And we're going to jump into that in a little bit. All right, Matt, from an industry expert from the outside looking in, what's your thoughts on
it was very interesting because my experience of this is the guys were taking the stuff home. And they were then putting it in their sheds and building sheds from the because nobody could believe it. 120 million tons. Yeah. That 120 million tons then needs to be transported offsite. So then you've got the logistics of doing that, you've got the carbon of doing that. And would it be right to say that 120 million tons is all recyclable?
Mostly is. Yeah. Today it's significantly recycled.
What couldn't be recycled?
Well, there's an enormous amount. I mean, asbestos and the likes.
Okay, but that's not in a new build, right?
No, but there's plenty of it about.
Okay, so we're talking about the whole industry as a whole with regards to renovation as well well as new builds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts at where the product begins, even to that extent. And I think Brian, you could elaborate deeply on that. But we got to look at the whole life cycle of the industry, right? One thing that every other industry out there does better than us is they look at data. And then they use that data to make wise decisions to increase their efficiency, to increase how they're building, what the consumer wants. Our industry lacks, like way behind. I mean, like centuries behind. I mean, we're behind agriculture when it comes to efficiency and technology, for sure.
I mean, we're going to turn this on its head at Homatix. So even just starting with the configurator, right now we've got customers out there configuring homes to show us what they would like. We'll use that data to inform what we commission, inform the supply chains and so on. So we're turning this on its head by building to order. That reverses the usual order of things. And we think that will be a revolution in home building and homemaking. By, of course, using offsite manufacturing, will drive up quality, drive up efficiency and drive down waste. So we're really proud of what we're doing. It's Roger's brainchild, as you say. But I'm incredibly proud to get involved.
So you mentioned just in time, Dave, and so obviously time, labour is expensive. The other thing's very expensive is finance. So if you can collapse that time that you're on site, collapse the time so just in time, the supply chain, and you save time by not actually accepting what's known as failure demand. So failure demand is the whole operational apparatus you have to put out, dealing with stuff that should have been done right first time.
Right.
So I go until I'm blue in the face. So measure twice and cut once. And that's really it in a nutshell. You know, modern methods of construction, supply chain management, it can be really just collapsed down into that one. So measure twice and cut once, and pay half.
Yeah, it's, you know what, Roger saying that reminds me, every other industry would be really obsessive about lean and the 7 wastes and cutting out those wastes. And as soon as Brian talked about 120 million tons, it's obvious that we're not in construction. And it's crazy.
And the whole lean approach has been so badly interpreted in the construction industry. They get a team of guys, they have a whole palette of materials, they have a house to build. They come in, they work with those materials, they finish it, they move on to the next one, they do that, but they leave materials behind, and they all go in the skip. Instead of putting them into the next house, ready for those to go in there, that's lean approach in construction.
Exactly.
And I talk about just in time. In the construction industry, it's just in case. We deliver it far too soon, we leave it out in the rain, and then it's wrecked, ruined, can't be used, they have to buy in some more.
Right. So we're pointing out all the problems of the industry. We look at manufacturing and housing. It's been around for a long time. Modular's been around for a long time, right? And one of the problems that we're seeing is, all right, we know we have to do this. We know we have to change. How do you integrate new technology, new ideas, like you guys started talking about, into systems that are already pre-existing, to where the margins are so small that when they don't want to shut down manufacturing to integrate new equipment, new robotics, new technology, how do they do it? Because if they shut down their line, they shut down their production. And when they shut down production, that means people get furloughed, right? Is there a way to start integrating technology to where it can enhance what they already have and you grow into the system so we can keep production up in the industry?
Well, you answered this earlier, didn't you?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I did. Yes, no, we're live. No, we're live. Yes, you run it in parallel. But if we just go back to what you're saying, because first of all, we need to look at what the initial problem is. You were talking about data. You're talking about logistics, about taking it to the next site. Roger, you're talking about measure once, measure twice, which is to put everything into a system. The system is a CRM. We need a customer relationship management system. And if we look at customer relationship management systems, the biggest thing that we're missing right now is AI. If we introduce AI, we can then streamline everything that we're talking about. AI can make the calculations that you're missing. Obviously, it's not perfect at the moment. I work with AI. I go across 3 different AI models. So when you go across 3 of them, you can take the information from all 3, and then you will come out with something that's accurate, as long as you understand your subject, you understand what you're looking at. But for me, my experience in manufacturing, in volume manufacturing, is data, and that goes into a CRM system. That CRM system has to go from the factory to the end user. So when the end user has an issue with whatever it is, when on site, when they have an issue, whatever it is, that data goes immediately back to the manufacturer, and you're not waiting for a finished product. And like Roger says, with regards to development finance, if we're borrowing on 8 to 12% on development finance, and you're suddenly going over on time, you're going over on materials, everything becomes a disaster. If you then look at the warranty issues, we then go into insurance. If we have an issue with if it's something that in the manufacturing process it doesn't have the durability, and then we're having a failure, what you don't want is, by the time the end user keeps complaining to somebody who's in telesales that isn't picking up the phone, by the time that it gets back to what you're talking about now, which is the assembly line, it's too late. It's too inefficient. So for me, the answer to that question is CRM systems, and now artificial intelligence. Why wouldn't we use that?
No, and I see that happening, right? So you got the CRM, you got your ERP systems, all this stuff that actually flows through the manufacturing environment. And as manufacturing actually starts picking up and there's more robotics integrated, right? The data has to be able to take a plan design and a description, put it into the production line, and be able to do that seamlessly all the way through, right? To date, there's very few products out there that have done that. But the end-to-end that we really need is the finance side's a big deal, all the way through the data collection, the CRM, the ERPs, the information that feeds the robotics and the line. So when it comes out the other end of that production line, it's ready to go to a customer and be put in place. And I think that's one of the things that we're really struggling in with the issue. And Roger, you've seen this, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen the inefficiency in that.
Yeah. It's communication, isn't it, really?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's in a computer or it's a paper system with punch cards, it's people knowing where they fit in and when they fit in, and actually empowering people to tell the next guy, right, well, I'm finished, you come in now. And you have to care about the next guy coming in, taking a pride in the job and all the rest of it. So I just put it down to communication management and having people understand the whole process. There's that old story about the guy says I'm basically banging rocks and making blocks, and another guy says, well, I'm building a cathedral.
Right.
Homatix, I want all of our people to be building cathedrals.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, because as I've listened to everybody talking, I've got a question for Brian, actually. Why is it that the profit motive doesn't force the big house builders to be more careful about the materials they use? How is it that they're willing to throw away half a pallet of bricks when actually they could be driving up their profits if they didn't?
Because somebody else is paying for it. It doesn't matter.
Who's that somebody else?
The client,
Yeah.
the end consumer.
Because this is something that care is at the heart of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, the house building industry is working for the big boys. I had occasion to go along to an AGM. I'll say why, but I won't name the house builder. They built some very poor housing. Well, actually, it looked beautiful, but the garages leaked,
Right.
and there was broken glass in a couple of gardens where children are going to play. And of course, the public, there are other problems. The public were up in arms. So I bought shares. They weren't responsive to me. So I just bought shares and went to the AGM. And strangely enough, when a then MP turned up at their AGM, which was live streamed, suddenly they were much more interested in what I had to say. But the thing that struck me there was they're making huge profits. You can see it in the car park. But plainly, locally in Wickham, they didn't care about those homemakers. And although it's good to make a profit, it's necessary to make a profit. It's good to want to make a profit. It's not actually sufficient, is it, right? You've got to care about the customer, care about the waste of resources, and actually take a pride in what you're doing every day and be proud of it as you make a profit.
Go ahead, Brian. I know you want
So
to answer that.
the challenge is that, the interface between trades, there is this problem that, he'll sort it out. Whatever I do, he'll sort it out. And he says, well, he should have sorted it out. So there's that continuity of fail, which ends up with an incompetent building.
Can I get a little controversial on this one? And I don't mean this in a bad way, because the big production builders are providing a lot of housing the way it is and how it is. But there's also, I have this thought, and it's come up on the show before, is, well, supply and demand's a good problem if you're the bigger player out there to always have a demand for housing, right? Mm-hmm. So there is that side of it. And believe it or not, at least in the States, the production builders really do work on slim margins, right? Yeah. Which would beg the question, why do they just throw a pallet of brick, when that could increase their margins over 30, 70,000 homes a year or whatever they're building, depending on who it is. But I want to get back to the seamless process, the end-to-end, right? And truly understanding how that changes and how it works within our environment. And you guys are doing that, and customization is possible. You don't have to have just everybody wants what they want.
So I mentioned finance. Okay, you've got to talk about contract law. So building a building, there are a bunch of different people. They're all in contract with each other. Right. So in the UK, there are two forms of contract: joint contracts tribunal, and then the nice contract. So which is the civil engineering contract, which is supposed to take the disputation. Or the what's it called? Adversarial mindset out of collaborating in a project, right? So if it's dog and dog, dog eat dog, which it has been,
Yeah.
okay, what you find is that, you know, the big dog bites the little dog bites the cat, you know, and that happens in the industry.
Yeah.
So that isn't supply chain. That's kind of, it's commercial human relationships which have been exploited by the big dog, right? So in the same way that supermarkets mistreat farmers, right? Big house builders mistreat contractors, big contractors. So this is paying contractors on time. So my site foremen, you know, they're my intelligence core.
Yeah.
If I want to know what's going on, I go and see my foreman, because they know, they're like the bridge between. So when there are signs of stress in your supply chain, right, you got to help them out.
Yes.
And it's in your interest to help them out.
Yes.
And so it's all of that stuff, and you learn that stuff when you have to make payroll, right? And if you've never made payroll, you've never been a businessman. You've certainly never been a, you know, the sleepless nights you have. Right, am I going to be able to pay my staff this month?
Yeah.
And when a big contractor is holding back the payment, there's been legislation on this stuff,
Yeah.
but it's all of that stuff as well. So it's not just nuts, bolts, wood, nailed together, all the rest of it. We can all do that stuff, but you've got to get paid. You've got to be paid on time, and you've got to be paid the right price for the job. So that's the same. You've got to pay your people properly. And my view is that the general culture that's allowed such a large housing crisis to occur, okay, stems from that, not paying the right price. You know, basically driving other people's margins down so you can buy a bigger yacht.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. You know, look at the big yachts in the harbours. Some people have got 2 or 3 of them, okay, and yet you've got families that are claiming income support that are holding down 2 jobs. Now, these are our customers, right? We will sell them an affordable home that they buy to build up that security in their life. So, you know, housing is incredibly important. Matt was asking earlier, what was it? The shelter, heat.
3 primary needs for a human being: food, shelter, warmth. If we first of all focus on those things, then we can then start looking at the other things. What Roger's just explained is the macro. If we actually look at the micro is the pallet of bricks. The pallet of bricks goes in the bin because the labor costs are too high to do anything with it.
Yeah.
And then if we, you know, I'll give you a great example of this. I felled some trees last week on a site because, you know, we have planning permission. Yeah, it was all about. But the guy that sold us a chainsaw gave us the wrong mix ratio: 2-stroke chainsaw, 2 seized up. Took them back, 2 in the bin. They don't even rebuild them, put them in the bin. So, and all of that goes back to labor costs. And when you're working on site, like Roger's saying, payroll, it's the thing that consumes everything in the build is labor costs.
Well, but there's a lack of labor.
There's a lack
of young people coming into this industry.
Why?
Well, is it? So I think there's multiple things, right? Construction isn't as cool as iPhones, technology, and Fortnite. First of all, there is some of that, right? We're starting to hold on now, because I love this stuff. Right? Yeah, you know, I always say, do you have kids? How many of them are saying, I'm going to go be an electrician, I'm going to be a plumber, I'm going to be a mason? Because I'll tell you now, in today's day and age, an electrician, a plumber, and a mason make more than kids coming out of college with a 4-year degree and a 6-year degree. So is it about money, or is it about, we're an industry that hasn't changed in over 150 years. We're not using the technology that's available to us out there, right? To inspire and embrace the next generation. And this is where I think, you know, offsite manufacturing, modular manufacturing, you know, I'm in factories around the world. I mean, they got robots going. It's a different level now. And I think our industry has not kept up with it. We're failing on housing like no other. I mean, every city in the world has too many people sleeping on the streets for a multitude of reasons. So, You know, I agree that, you know, maybe 10 years ago the pay and people weren't interested in it, but I think technology and what has people interested today is much different than when we grew up in our generation. We were talking about working, you know, at the nursery and what you were doing and how people loved it and they wanted stuff, right? I think it's changed, and I think our industry has to change. We also got to meet the needs of and,
Do you know,
the desire of the younger
it's an
generation.
interesting point about the change. So Persimmon, major house builder here, they've just invested £50 million in a new factory in Loughborough. Now, nobody will have read that anywhere. Most people have never heard of Space4, which is a, you know, incredible subsidiary of Persimmon. Persimmon have the best margins of the major house builder. It's because of that factory, and it opened in 2006. So basically, they opened that factory the year that our house design won the £60,000 house competition. Okay, so this stuff has been on the agenda for a long time, and Persimmon know that. Now, why don't they shout about it? Well, I think it's because they can produce 7,000 homes there, which keep their margins going, but it's not in their interests to do triple shifts in Loughborough and build 21,000 homes a year. Well, why is that? Right? It's because the model of the market is restrict the supply. This is your point about being at the AGM. Yeah. It was in the Letwin review. Okay. They don't want to build more houses because they want prices to rise. It's a price support cartel.
Absolutely. I mean, that's very interesting. Openly on the record, talking about adjusting the supply of homes to maintain the local price.
So it's not not that they can't do it or don't know how to do it. So Berkeley Homes, they closed down their their modular factory in Erith. Okay. You know why that happened. It's a shame it happened. There've been lots of volumetric failures here. So people have kind of looked at it, but they haven't done their homework. If they'd done their homework, if they talked to me, you know, Top Hat would still be going, but it wouldn't be volumetric. It would be offsite panelized DFMA, closed panel. So they've been doing it in Germany for years. So I don't understand why they keep repeating that same mistake over and over.
Yeah, it's about existing supply chains. All the residential developers have their supply chains. They're under their thumb. They've got them financially under control. They've got them under mental health problems and suicide statistics. They have a system which works, and they keep on churning out their profits. The manufacturers of the prefabricated construction don't have a customer because they've already got their supply chain in place, and they're not going to change it. So this has got no scope until the customer comes like you.
You see, I know Persimmon can do it, and I'm a big fan. You know,
they're doing both parts. Yeah, they're doing the developing and the manufacturing.
Yeah. I found out this morning, a guy walked in to have a chat. They've actually got their own fibre company as well, doing their own internet provision on their developments. Right. Yeah, good on them. You know, but I kind of wish they would have a word with us and sort of say, look, let's do this together to build affordable homes, because I'm interested in affordable homes more than anything else. You know, we've acquired sustainable homes indeed. But sustainable in the sense that I don't want my customers to be paying massive heating bills. So it's the energy.
So,
pure efficiency.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about like what the issues are, what we perceive the issues are, and you know, in our opinions on what those are. But what are we going to do to actually change it, right? What can we do to make a difference? I think that is the big thing we need to really take a look at here, right? We are where we are on that, right? Whether we agree or disagree with the big builders or not, we still have the same problem. That's people on the street, and that doesn't help them tomorrow get into a house.
You lead from the front, Dave. You do what you do. You say what needs to be done. I've heard you. You know, I've been a big fan since you started the show, and I did my research and got together with some business partners. They said, hey, look, come on, let's do this. You know, actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do this thing. Let's actually build some houses people can afford. I mean, Roger identified that £60,000 house. We're going to build them. We build them in numbers, be a volume discounter of those homes, and show that we can do it profitably. But the point is to do it with a profit we can be proud of as we do it. And that being proud of it means that homeowners are glad to be in the house, feeling they've paid a fair price, and that it's a great home for them to live in. I'm really looking forward to the day when we can sit here and take some testimonials from people who are living in a house that they can afford, which doesn't cost much to heat, which is a beautiful home, which actually was configured to their specification, all for an affordable price. And we can do it. And we can do it because of offsite manufacturing. And that's the key insight. And we can deal with that waste problem because of your point about repeatability. That will drive up quality, drive down cost. So I think we do know how to do it. It's to sincerely apply in construction the techniques which have been used in manufacturing for years.
Yeah, 100%. And technology is allowing us to get more customization out of it. Technology is allowing us to look at the data and build a better home, a sustainable home, a home that's healthier for your kids, for your family. I mean, just for an example on that, there are studies out there that say it's mostly the homes that are causing kids to have allergies and migraines because of everything that's living between the walls and the dust mites and all these different things. So, you know, this is real stuff and, you know, and real concerns for the consumer out there. And to me, you know, what you guys are doing, right? Just, I will toot your horn a little bit and, you know, it's just, you've brought together, you know, people that care about the environment in your process. You brought together technology and AI that allows people to be involved in the process and feel like they have some control of what's going on all the way through. And I don't mean just feel, you're part of that process, right? And then you take that and you say, well, we're going to put it in a manufacturing environment, right? Where I don't care who's watching this show, you will not come tell me that you can site build better than I can build in a manufacturing environment. You can't cut a 2x4 across the toe of your boot in a field exactly the same way thousands of times over on a job site. Where does energy efficiency come from? Tight envelope, right? All of this plays into this. And if you do it right in a factory environment, you have to do less on site to make up for all those air losses and all that. So I think, you know, you take all of those things together and then you say, oh, but by the way, one of the biggest hurdles we have is financing. And say, well, we're going to fix that too. And we're going to give customers the process of handling the finances all the way through. There is no finger pointing. Finger pointing is at you guys if it doesn't go right or the numbers aren't right.
You've got to pick up the ball and run with it. Stop complaining, pick up the ball and run with it.
Right.
And we invite everybody else to run on with us.
Right. I mean, so to me, that's the end-to-end experience, right? For a consumer. Every other manufacturer does it out there, right? You can buy your Tesla online, have it delivered to your house, pick the colors you want. Guess what? You're not changing the engine in it. You may pick a different engine, but you can still customize it to make it exactly how you want it to be. You know, Brian, what does it mean to you for end-to-end for a consumer out there that's looking to buy a house, that needs a house, needs an affordable house, and a house that's well built?
Well, it's got to be healthy and it's got to be affordable for the whole life of the building. And that's all about energy and about material choice, thermal insulation materials, and energy fabric, no overheating, all of those luxuries that we don't get from conventional building.
Oh, you mean so don't feel a draft when you're sitting by the window and you have to throw a blanket on because your heating and cooling's working right?
Yeah, or triple glazing that makes your feet warm forever.
Yeah.
Because you never feel a draft again.
Yeah. Hey, I know that feeling. You get out of bed in the middle of the night, you got to go, right? You want warm feet. Steve, what's end-to-end mean to you for the consumer?
It means hope of a better future. And I mean that most sincerely. I have heard politicians complain so often about a lack of family formation. But the truth is you can't form a family till you've got a home to bring the kids up in. And this is real for young people who've reacted to our social media. They want to know when they can buy one of these 3-bedroom homes that will accommodate 5 people for an affordable price. And it's about hope. It's about happiness. It's about hope. It's about avoiding family breakdown, starting a family in the first place. It's about a brighter future. And it really is. And nothing can be clearer to us, I think, than the desperate need, as somebody said earlier, for an abundance of affordable quality homes. And that is what we aim to create.
Yeah. Roger, I know this is really important to you. You got a son? Can he afford a house?
Yeah, well, he's 16, but yeah, I mean, it means everything to me.
Yeah.
I'll cry. I'm sorry.
You will too. Hey, that's all right. I mean, this is a journey, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what it's about. This was a hobby for me. Right? I said it earlier before the show. I say it's a hobby. It went terribly wrong because now I'm working so much, but I get to do the thing I love, and that is try and find a way for my daughters who are 17, getting ready to go to college next year. They can't afford to buy a house unless mom and dad help.
Yeah.
We need to change that scenario where they can go get a good job. It's a shame you can make almost $100,000 or 90,000. I don't know the conversion, and you still can't buy a house.
It's absolutely insane. Isn't
It's
it?
nuts.
It's completely crazy. It's totally unacceptable, and we're going to change it.
Yeah. How about you? And then, come on. I know you got something for us.
Well, to summarize what all of you said, even if we go back to what you just said there, Dave, what Roger just summarized, what you said initially, and that is the next generation. Without looking at the next generation, without caring about the next generation, everything that we're saying sat around this table, who cares?
Right.
Because unless we provide for the next generation, but unless you start making this industry cool, and if you want to do modular building, you want to introduce robotics and AI, and you want to start bringing into tech, then you're going to bring in the young people. Then you're going to bring in people that are just wanting to sit and do games. Why are they sitting and wanting to do games? Because I would say partly because the academic system isn't given the opportunity to actually get involved with materials.
Right.
Materials are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did we do? What was the first thing we do? We go and play in the sand on the beach. Who didn't like that? Yeah, we dig holes and then the water comes in and it's interesting, but we don't then evolve that and develop that. We then go through the schooling system, through an academic system that narrows our whole spectrum on everything to do with life, and that we have to be this, or this in a pigeonhole. Well, unless we can get outside of the way that way of thinking, bring young people into the industry, apprenticeships. If we go back 500 years, the most revered there were craftspeople, people of the arts. You know, if we go back to France 500 years ago, it was a male in ballet. Hello, you know, where if we look at true craftsmanship with regards to woodworking, with anything to do, there's no respect. There's no respect to crafts. What we actually worship in humanity now, we're lost. So the first thing we need to do is to go back to being human, and that's creativity, interacting with matter, the purpose of being human, which is creative. And we need to start installing that into young people, into the next generation. This industry is cool. We picked up on Tesla. Yes. Right. Why do the young people like Tesla? It's cool.
It is cool.
It's cool. Yeah. Running around on a building site in a load of mud. Why are you doing that, Dad? Yeah, well, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm going to go to university. You know, you did that. Yeah, but that's not that shouldn't be how it is. Yeah, AI is cool. Technology is cool.
So you bring up a good point, right? How do we get people involved, right? And Steve, I'll go to you on this. Like, how do we get the message out there so the consumers start asking for a better product? I say it all the time. Pharmaceutical industry did it great. At least in America, they used to send doctors on vacation. So they write their prescripts. And then the government said, yeah, you can't do that anymore, right? And then all of a sudden you see on TV, hey, tell your doctor you want to use my pill and ... right? That's what we see in America. I don't know if you're seeing it here. But now they got the consumer educated to say, listen, this is the product I would like to use. And I think a lot of people are just misinformed about offsite construction. They think about what it used to be in the World War II era, right? Which it is completely nothing like that today. How do we get people to ask for a better product? How do we get the consumer to help us go out there? Because there's regulations are an issue as well, right? And what we do, sometimes we're fitting a round peg in a square hole when it comes to offsite construction in the standard building code. How do we get the support of people to speak up and say, listen, I do want a better product. I deserve a better product.
I think we need to do 4 things. We need to show people what a better product would look like. It's all around us right here in this center. We need to show people why it matters, because of course, housing, shelter is fundamental to our futures, our prospects, our well-being. We need to show people how we can get there. And this point you made, Matt, so brilliantly early, we need to stop building in the mud and actually build in factories and show people how this can be done. Show people some of these amazing technical systems that can go in the home and also begin automating it. And we need to say to people, this is what if we don't do this? If we don't get on and transform housing, we'll continue to have hopeless futures for young people where they can't afford a home, they don't have a prospect of a home. That means they don't form a family, and that's pretty crucial to the survival of our species. So all in all, the recipe to me seems fairly straightforward. We are doing it. We're getting on with it. I think we'll all have to keep coming back on your show.
We've got to stop product dumping. Yeah, it's product dumping. Like you just said about the pharmaceutical industry, whereby this isn't, you have to have this. That's product dumping. Listen, who, what, where, when, why. Go to the consumer. Who, what, where, when, why. What do you want? Where do you want it? Why do you want it to be like that? Nobody's listening. Listen to the consumer. They don't want the old boxes of the past. They don't want what's gone before. If you actually look at when planning came into being in 1945, and you look at pre-planning, so if we go back in this country, beautiful Georgian, Victorian, Art Nouveau, Art Deco architecture, there was no planning control. That was pure human creativity. Bang, 1945, planning, government control. What do we get? What do we get? And why? Because it destroyed human creativity. Yes,
Yeah.
you have to bring back the creativity. If you're going to, so you have to bring back the consumer. If you're going to bring back the consumer, what do you want? Where do you want it? Why do you want it? Yes, and that talks to young people. Don't product dump.
Don't.
Yeah. Hey.
Listen, I mean, this is definitely a conversation that went in a bunch
just like
of.
to say, insist on better, insist on hope.
Right.
Just insist. Don't apologize. You know, take responsibility and complain, and don't just complain. Do something about it. Get together.
Educate yourself.
Absolutely.
Educate the next generation.
That's right. That's right.
So cooperate, collaborate, and procreate.
We talked about this media training, Roger. Listen, I think these are the types of real conversations we have, right? We have out of industry, in industry, but not in industry full time. Out of industry, like you've done so many different things, right? Roger, being a developer in your past life, being successful. And having a big heart and actually really caring. Like, for God's sake, Sean, you started getting in tears when you talk about the problem we have. You care about people, and that shows at this table. Steve, you spent a lot of time as a member of Parliament. I gotta get that right. I always say Prime Minister. I'm like, oh, there it goes.
If I had spent
There's
time
the
as
stupid
Prime Minister,
American
let me
again.
tell you, there'd be fewer problems with housing.
But you focused on it. You care about it, and I think that's really, really powerful. And then you bring in, building science experts, right?
Yeah.
That are doing things at a high level to help you truly understand how homes affect us as humans, how they affect the environment, and how do we leave the world a better place. I mean, what more can you ask for? We need it. We need inside and outside of industry to help change it. Whether people like it or not, this is the way it's going to happen moving forward. If it was working the way we've been doing it, there wouldn't be so many people sleeping on the streets, and I would there.
Indeed. Pioneer a legacy.
That's it. That's it. All right, everybody. That's Dave Cooper Live. Make sure you go to our channel. Check us out. We really appreciate you joining us today. Big round of applause for our stellar panel. Yeah, we have a bit of a crowd back here. I'm starting to like this whole UK visit. This is fun.
But we love you.
Welcome,
too.
Dave.
I love
Welcome.
it. All right, everybody. Listen, thank you for joining me today. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you, and as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.